Yeah, you're funny.
We're doing it! We're doing it!
So I have the show plane's oil cooler mount and duct so I can run a 13-row oil cooler, which is bigger than what the stock one would be for vans. Because I had a little bit more horsepower, I wanted to make sure my oil temp's cool. So even when it's summertime, I'm running 180, 185 with the door open. Right now it's 37 degrees Fahrenheit outside air temperature. I got the door shutter valve closed completely and I'm running 159. It'll warm up a little bit more, but I'm always cooler than I want to be, a little less than 180, but I definitely don't have too hot of oil temperatures, which is nice. So to lean it out on the Dynon system, hit the engine page, hit the lean button, then I could just pull my mixture back, reducing the amount of fuel going into the cylinders, and it's just monitoring the exhaust gas temperatures, the EGTs. I come close to peak right around 1450 degrees, and that number in of itself is kind of irrelevant because it just depends on where you put the probes in the exhaust. You just want them all at the same position on all four pipes so that they're comparing the same temperature at the same place. If I would move it, I think I have mine down 2.5 inches roughly from the heads themselves, or the cylinders. If I moved them farther down, the temperatures would be a little bit lower, so the temperature itself is not a big deal. Dynon just measuring as the temperature goes up, eventually it hits a peak. When it gets to the peak, it marks it. It marks the very first cylinder, whether that's cylinder 1 or 4, doesn't matter. And you just keep pulling the mixture back slowly until they all hit that peak, and it'll give you a number 1 through 4, depending on which cylinder peaked first. You pull it back just a little bit more, you'll be lean a peak. If you push it forward just a little bit, you'll be rich a peak. The old school way, flying Cessnas, we only had one gauge that showed the exhaust gas, and you use that for all 4 cylinders. You would just pull the mixture back until the engine ran a little rough. It burbled a little bit, then you'd push it forward just a little bit more.
Caution.
And that caution, I've got a Skyview network cable that's going between screen 1 and 2 that says it's got 2 pins. I think it said number 6 and number 9 were bad. So I'm going to order a new cable versus trying to fix whichever pin. They're cheap, they're $30 or so from Aircraft Spruce. I think I'll order one of those for next week, put that in. I'm at 5,500 feet heading southeast bound. And I got it clean to peak, and I'm doing 9.1 gallons per hour, 170 knots true. Ground speed's 172. Showing 11 minutes to get to Morris. So hopefully the audio's coming through a little better. Yeah, Yeah, it's, I don't hear any hissing in my headset, although I didn't hear a whole lot before. So hopefully it's a lot better than that last video. I took Tricia down to
Here, Hawker 99
Midway. I found that these GoPros can be a little finicky
It was
with the auto input.
There's another aircraft trying to help them out. Just giving that noting your frequency 127.9 or 128.0.
So 5,500, a little smoother air up here. Beautiful day in the Chicago area.
Caution.
And that's at standby network error. That's that cable. I can see that because I can go to the screen, enter the full screen setup, and go to Skyview network, Skyview status.
Number 53, number whiskey, Chicago Center, 53, number whiskey.
Shows Skyview display, which is this display. Skyview network connection fault data 1 pair, pins 1 and 6. I guess it's 1 and 6, not 9 and 6. Which makes sense because it's only an 8-pin T-sub. So 1 and 6 on that cable. So I have 2 of them going into it. One is going to that's the 10-inch dynon screen. That cable is going to the 7-inch dynon screen. So you just daisy chain all these network serial cables to all of the dynon. That way all of them talk to each other. And so I have one going from the 7-inch over to the 10-inch. So it could be that one on the 10-inch side, or I have one that goes from the 10-inch over to one of the other units, either one of the comm radios or the autopilot or intercom. I'd have to get behind the panel, I can't remember. And then that would go, say, to comm number 1, and then I have a network that goes from comm 1 to comm 2, then from comm 2 to autopilot head over to the intercom to the a network hub that has 5 ports in it. And so you just connect all these Skyview network cables together. So they're all talking to each other, getting data through each other. So I'm not sure if it's the one that's going from the 7-inch to the 10-inch, or from the 10-inch over to whatever other device I have, but they're both short cables. I think I have 12-inch cables. They're $30. So I could take it apart and try to figure out why the pins are not seating. But by the time I take them all apart, take all the pins out, reseat them for $30, I can get a new set for both aircraft sprues.
25-1, thanks.
So cruising, somebody asked me right now, I'm at 5,500 feet, it's 38 degrees Fahrenheit outside. My cylinder head temp's going from 1 to 4, 346, 360, 360, 350. So not too bad. Definitely staying underneath the 400 top limit, which some guys will run them right up to. There's a lot of different theories out there. Somebody asked on the YouTube channel regarding keeping speed up to a short final and if I was worried about shock cooling. I told him no, I'm not really worried too much about shock cooling. There's a lot of information out there kind of disproving that myth with the fact that for those of you who aren't pilots or single engine piston airplanes, there was concern that if you had a higher altitude and cold temperatures and engines running at power, you pull the power back, which reduces how much heat that engine is producing, and you're in cold air, say to make a steep descent, that cold air would shock the engine and you would crack your cylinders. So people didn't want to do that. So there was all kinds of procedures. I remember when I was a flight instructor years ago at the University of Nebraska, reducing power just a little bit and making a shallow descent, circling if you needed to get down, and so on. But a lot of guys have done a lot of testing and data input from places like that do skydiving in piston engine airplanes where they dump the people and drop the power and scream down. And there hasn't been any indication that myth is true with cylinder cracking due to the cold temperature. Not to say that it hasn't happened, but the data to support, hey, don't ever pull the power back fast because you're going to shock cool, just isn't there. some people may disagree. I just did my research like everything else. Do your research, and whatever you find works for you, do it. But he was asking how fast I could go to a short final or on final with this big Hartzell composite prop. I'm pretty confident I go 150 knots to, you know, a couple mile final, pull the power back, push the prop forward. It really slows down fast, get to, you know, 96, my first notch of flaps, under 80, the rest of the flaps would come in and be no problem. But I'm going to test it out one of these days and just do some practice, see how fast I can push it to a final when there's no traffic around up at Poplar Grove. Those big blades on the Hartzell composite, you know, you pull the power back and man, it's a disc out there, so it's a really a good brake. I feel like I'm going up against my shoulder harnesses when I pull the power back that hard, so I really never have to do that in the pattern.
386 Echo Sierra is 7 miles to the west. We'll be doing it straight.
Also, Conti 4472 turning.
12 Celsius. Dew point
Listen to the weather.
0, altimeter 3002.
No wind conditions.
All right,
Runway
02 on the
is
meter.
recommended.
Autopilot.
Morris
mode.
Municipal Airport, Washburn Field. Automated
Autopilot
weather observation.
mode.
183. 8 Zulu. Weather. Wind. Calm. Visibility 10. Clear. Below 12.
Right, downwind, 31, Oscar Conti. Traffic, 238 Tango Hotel, 2 miles to the north, departing the area to the east, Lewis.
Listen up here and see what runway they're using down here at Morris. Thought I heard them doing 3.6 earlier, but it's calm winds now, which means they like you to use runway 18. I'll either enter the 45 left downwind 36 or over the top to the left.
Alaska Field, Skyhawk 386
Left downwind
Echo Sierra,
for
3 miles
18.
to the west, straight in, runway 9.
Morris traffic 800, Mike Foxtrot, left base, runway 18. Be over flying to hangars, low approach only. Morris. Pop up traffic 800, Mike Foxtrot, left base, runway 27. Pop up.
Minimums.
Radar, Mike Foxtrot, left base, 35, Papa Grove.
Triangle, please, final landing 2. Left crosswind, runway 2.
Radar, Mike Foxtrot, turn and final, 35, low pass only, Papa Grove.
Gulf traffic, Skyhawk 13364, approximately 5 miles to the southwest of the airport. Preparing for a 45-degree left downwind entry to runway 27. Gulf traffic.
Papa Grove, 5 Bravo, we've been up 5 miles north inbound for a landing. 27, Papa Grove.
Maneuver with the 45 downwind for runway 2, Lewis.
We in sight, yellow 195 departing runway 27. Will be a left turn.
172 Bravo Foxtrot, 5 miles out for 45 on runway 2, Lewis traffic.
Right now, then we're going to make a west heading.